Welcome back to the Iowa Chill Show to September 5th. I'm Nathan Krieps, joined by my co-host, Bryce Bortscheller. Bryce,
let's go.
Bryce, I got a quick one for you. If I were to pit you in Keokuk, Iowa, and made you walk from Keokuk all the way to the northwestern tip of Iowa, but I gave you a special pill, the pill didn't make you any faster, it just helped you maintain your average speed, how long do you think it would take you?
Okay. 3 miles per hour, unlimited energy. I'm guessing 625 miles.
424 miles.
425. Okay. You've got the stat already. Can I do quick math, or do I just have to guess?
You got to go off what you're feeling.
Okay. I'm going to go 3.5 days.
Bryce, it would take you 8 days and 9 hours according to Google Maps.
Crazy. I love it. I don't want any other context. I don't want to know why you're asking me this. I just love that you asked
I do all the time at work. I'll Google something because I'm driving all the time for work, right? So I'll Google something. I'm like, God, I wonder how long it'll take me to walk from here to there. I'm always in Keokuk. I'm like, dude, I'm way down here. If I had to walk to Sioux Falls one day. So now I know.
Makes you appreciate those guys on the Oregon Trail, huh?
No shit, dude. I'm always thinking, like, dude, how long did it freaking take Lewis and Clark to get from A to B? Not knowing anywhere they're going, but we do appreciate them.
So we have you seen Yellowstone?
No, I haven't.
The show Yellowstone. So there's a prequel to Yellowstone about the family that started that ranch in Montana, and it's it's Tim McGraw and Faith Hill doing the Oregon Trail, and it just looks horrible. Couldn't look worse.
Okay, cool.
Hey, thanks for the fast fact. That was fun. Do you mind if I?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're back with the Easy Eddies. These
Thursday night episodes.
Brewery down in Cedar Rapids now. Did you know that?
I saw that driving by when we were going down. I don't know why we were driving recently, but I did just see that kind of by my old apartment complex.
Your old apartment complex. Because my boss lives right in that area, and he says he makes frequent visits there because they got a pickleball palace there too, right next to it.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Cedar Rapids is doing what they can to make that downtown more fun. I don't know. I lived there for a year, and I called that good enough.
Yes, but it has come a long ways.
Yes.
Well, Bryce.
Yeah,
dude,
man.
We're in September. That means it's first week of September.
Earth, Wind, and Fire, baby.
Yep. We got CyHawk week. We're going to talk about that here later in the podcast. But that means we made it through Labor Day weekend. What'd you do?
We had Darian's sister, Scott and Dusty, another co-founder of the Iowa Chill, come down for one night. We had a birthday party. Unfortunately, we did have to make a trip to Iowa City. Some health complications in the family. The circle of life, man. Sometimes it's a lot of fun. Sometimes it's heavy. And we spent a lot of time doing that. But then enjoyed the weather, man. It's just been great. What about yourself?
Not a whole lot this year. Just a little bit of golf again as usual. My main problem this year, let me ask you this. Do you have any wasps at your place right now? Have you been dealing with any wasps this summer?
They do a really good job at our complex of spraying. No, but that's like growing up at my parents' place. That was like, it was almost hard to sit outside because there were so many wasps.
There's no wasps at your place right now because they're at my place. Oh my God. About a month and a half ago, we had a big wasp nest on the very back widow peak of our house facing the south side. And within a couple of days, it was just double and triple its size. And we had an exterminator come out trying to pitch his sales to us. Like, do you guys think you guys need any help? I'm like, no, being a first-year homeowner, I kind of want to control everything on my property, right? Thinking I can handle it. I went and sprayed it a couple times, like 4 or 5 times. I'm like, oh, I got it. No more wasps. And I don't go in my backyard a lot unless I need to mow. And because we've had pretty dry weather here in the last month, I haven't been down there. And I go down the other day. I don't know what I was doing. I was doing that trick shot video. I was trying to chip into the buckets.
Yeah. That you could find on the Iowa Chill Show Instagram. So one of my balls
shanked right underneath the deck. And I go under there. I'm talking 8, 9 massive wasp nests. About double the size of a chocolate chip cookie. Or Chip Ahoy cookie. And everywhere. I've never seen so many wasps my entire freaking life. I've gone through 3 cans of spray and a day and a half just trying to knock them out. Hey,
Dude, I don't have a lot of fears as an adult man anymore, but you get around a big wasp nest and it gets dicey. So we were back in the day, I used to help the buddies down in the Ozarks clean windows, and it just was like flip of a coin, whoever had to do the outside, because you were battling wasps the whole
did you ever
time.
get stung?
It sounds like you got the nucleus in Iowa. That might be where they all
Yeah,
spawn,
I
huh?
don't know. I've been talking to my neighbors. None of them said they have any problems. For some reason, they're just living underneath my deck. I mean, I've never seen so many wasps in my entire life. Because I would think with the weather, it would drop it down to the high 40s, low 50s, that they may be dying. So, just I guess I have to cancel out my backyard for the rest of the fall, which is kind of sad because I was gonna pay some
Yeah.
football catch, but it's what it is. I'll learn.
Yeah, might have to retire for
I
the
know.
summer.
I'll have to learn. Maybe think about this exterminator moving forward.
Yeah, maybe call that exterminator.
I think he freaking planted them that day.
Yeah, he's like, oh, screw this guy.
Damn, but I don't know. We'll see moving forward. A little bit of Iowa news here, Bryce. This is something that
All right, hit me.
does not surprise me, but the DNR announced a swimming restriction, or I highly recommend do not get in this lake. And this lake is Clear Lake, Iowa. They're testing a bunch of E. coli up there. What do you know about Clear Lake?
I've never been, but I know that growing up next to Lake Red Rock, we had pretty much a swimming restriction every single week with all the farm runoff and
So
whatnot.
that was
I don't know. Tell me about what's going on in Clear
so.
Lake.
I mean, this is something I've known ever since, because I grew up 40 minutes west of Clear Lake in Algona. So this is not surprising. This happens all the time at Clear Lake. But for the 100th time, I feel like they put a swim ban on it. And we went up there a couple years ago for the 4th of July, and when you just get in a lake, you just feel a little weird about it. You're like, I really don't.
Oh yeah, swimming in Iowa lakes is horrible.
Unless if it's Zoka Bojo, I'll dip right in that thing naked, no problem. But Clear Lake, yeah, no, you just don't want to put your head underneath water. Even if I was 10 beers deep, it was still in the back of your mind. But I don't know. I never had any problems then. But my coworker a couple weeks ago, my coworker from Burlingame, God bless his heart, good dude. He was going up to Clear Lake a couple weeks ago for just some party. I'd meet some boys up there, and I warned him like, hey. My Clear Lake has a lot of problems with E. coli in the past. Just be a little wary and informative before you get in that lake. He's like, yeah. And then I think earlier this week or 2 weeks ago is when I found out about this. He came from back for work. We're back at work, and I was talking to him. I'm like, hey, did you get in the water by chance this week? He's like, yeah, I got all in that thing. I'm like, bro,
Oh no.
people are testing like from E. coli like crazy up there, or at least they're testing the water like crazy up there for E. coli. He's damn, but so far no coli signs from him.
He's fine.
He's got a quick little scare. I don't know, maybe he hasn't. He's just immune to it, just fighting it off. But I don't know. That's something.
I don't know if it was E. coli in Red Rock, but we would get this like blue gunk, and it just looked like disgusting. And Red Rock already is a product of the Des Moines River being dammed up, and that comes with its own river silt, and it's not like super nice anyway. But I couldn't tell you what it was, but it was like blue gunky. Any backwater, anything like kind of by the shoreline, you just like walk in it, and there was no chance you were going in that water.
Is there a river that goes through Pella?
No, the Des Moines River is just on the outskirts. So like where my parents lived, kind of out by Boss Land and Golf Course, it would be 4 or 5 minutes away. But no, it doesn't go through town.
It's right there in the area. Because
yeah,
I don't know. When you meet a bunch of Iowans here in East, now that I work in Eastern Iowa, I find out how many people tube like the Maquoketa River, the Wapsie River. They do it all the damn time. I'm like, I want to do that back up the East Fork Des Moines River that runs through. I'm like, hell no. Maybe the water's just clear here in Eastern Iowa. I mean, it makes sense. You got the Cora and everything. And it just feels prettier when you're up there. I don't know.
Yeah, there's something different. So there's like you mentioned Bogie, and Bogie's a glacier-made lake, so you have more like a better chance at a rocky or sandy bottom. But yeah, a lot of lakes and rivers in Iowa. It's like, yeah, we grew up hanging out in them. I mean, we spent a couple 4th of Julys up in Green at the river party up at 4th of July.
Green's a big river town. One of the biggest.
Yeah, huge river town. And we'll find out in 20 years when we have like weird offspring or something.
Yeah, mutations. I don't know. See, I've always been a lake guy. I'd rather go to a lake, because you just don't know what the hell's
Oh
at the
yeah,
bottom of the river. You got no damn idea.
it's just slim pickings. Like there's not a lot of chances to go to a lake in Iowa unless you're Clear Lake Bogie. I know Panorama, Ponderosa, whatever, but just like it's not quite the same. You go up to Minnesota, Wisconsin, you get a little bit
Right.
more, a
The
little bit more
10,000
variety.
lakes. And like you said, yeah, I did grow up kind of close to Bogie, so that does make sense for me. Bryce, it's okay. Well, first, I'd like to let's jump on Iowa State first and just talk briefly about them versus North
Okay.
Dakota. We'll follow that up with Iowa, Illinois State, real quick, overlook on that, and then we'll jump into CyHawk week. But between the two games this week, opening week, I think it's a bit of an overreaction. And I think the same thing every year for week one. Week one to me is just go out, get the W. I don't care what stats you post. I don't care if your quarterback's run for 700 yards against FCS, whatever, or run for 200 yards. I say you throw those stats out the window, and in week two, those stats become a little bit more important moving forward. But Iowa State does get the win against 21-3 against North Dakota. And they did open up the game with that 57-yard completion of the Jalen Noel. Did you see that?
I did.
Unreal.
I did. Yeah, they looked really, or they started really hot.
2 plays, 75 yards touchdown. They finished it off to Jaden Higgins for the 33-yard touchdown pass right there and then. Like their air raid is in Ames, and they left off right where they ended the season last year, looking hot. Rocco Beck looking great. But ever since that drive, they keep North Dakota.
It trailed off.
Yeah. North Dakota ran the ball for 150 rushing yards, which is something an FCS school should not be going to the Ames, Iowa doing, especially with the experience returning. They are a little thin right now at the linebacker position with the star player, Caleb Bacon being injured, Will McLaughlin. I know they're on how many guys rotating through that linebacker core that don't have a lot of experience. So that's something that's going to hold Iowa State back when stopping the run versus Iowa here in the next week. But the least surprising thing should be the Iowa State receivers performed. What was Rocco Beck 21 for 26, got it out there. Jalen Noel, Jaden Higgins, the star players were making catches, making plays. But the one thing that did a little surprise me is Abu Sama. Opened up the game with a 16-yard run right away, had 15 yards the rest of the game following that.
Yeah, and Abu's one of the guys that we were talking last week is a guy to watch out for. You remember the snow game, the 200-plus yards and all the touchdowns. You expect him to come in this year and just tear it up. I didn't have a chance to finish that Iowa State game. Like I said, we were in Iowa City at the hospital, so we missed the back half of it. I'm like, oh, this will be a routing FCS school, D1 school, and then I just saw it taper off. So I didn't get to fill in the blanks. I assumed, just kind of stalwart drives, maybe turnovers. But yeah, I think that you hit it on the head. I don't think that the same way you could overgeneralize that the Iowa Hawkeye offense is going to look different under Tim Lester because they put up their 40 burger. I think that you could easily overreact to Iowa State only putting up 21
And
points.
that's exactly where I'm at. Yeah, like I said, just throw those stats out the window. As long as you go in and get the W, don't make it scary close. And Iowa State didn't. They put the first punch right away. I say the one concerning thing about this game is that North Dakota did have 11, 12-minute drive. That's something you cannot let Iowa do against them if you want to go in Iowa City and pull off the upset.
Yeah. That's a good point. The main issue I had, if we're, getting away from Iowa State here quick, I know that we got to give them their time because we generally focus on the Hawkeyes, but it scares me as an Iowa State fan going into a game like Iowa where they're going to be run heavy, seeing what North Dakota State was going to do. On the flip side, it was pissing me off that we started the game and acted like Cade McNamara was going to be Tom Brady this year and just air raided the first couple drives and punt. It's like exactly what you said. Treat this for game one, do the things you need to do, which is for Iowa, run the football really damn well, and don't try to be what you're not going to be. It's like the points will come. When you wear them down in the first, second quarter, you're going to get your chances for the deep ball later on. And I know they're trying to prove something in Iowa City, but it was irking me right away in the first quarter that we weren't running the ball a little bit more.
Sounds like you're ready to get in this Iowa game, Bryce.
I am. I'm fired up for this week.
I mean, And that's the thing about these teams going to week 1, knowing damn well week 2 versus their in-state rivals on their mind, right? There's no way in hell they're going into North Dakota solely think about North Dakota. No, they're thinking, we got to ball out. We got to look like we're freaking ready to go in and compete against our arch rival. And you know that's a thought, especially with the coaches, the players, the fan bases, especially myself. And it's the most stressful week of my life. But we'll cover Iowa versus Illinois State real quick. I want to talk about my day. I go to the first game of the year, and as you know, we usually tailgate at Myrtle a lot for the past half decade, but unfortunately we've been kicked out because they've been renovating the boosters parking lot so those boosters have been moved to our spot. We got kicked out. We're now at Finkbine parking lot next to the golf course.
How'd that go this year? Or how was the first Finkbine experience?
For an 11 a.m. game, you can only get 2 lit, but we got in at about 6 a.m. there. We got on the interstate here in Cedar Falls on Highway 20. The very first car we saw was 2 Hawkeye flags, so that juiced us up right away. Follow them all the way down to Iowa City, we get into the Finkbine. It was perfect weather for tailgating in the morning. The game got a little toasty, but Bryce, I met some friends at the tailgate. And we noticed this last year when we kind of tailgated a few times at Finkbine. There's this big crew that tailgates right next to us. They pit about 4 or 5 tents next to each other. And every hour they'll ring a cowbell, and the people of Iowa just herd them like shepherds. They just herd right up to them because they give out free shots. And what they do is the first cowbell they'll raise a flag too, and it'll be the letter I. And then an hour later they'll raise the second flag for O, third W, the fourth one A. They'll do in a little increments there. And every time they'll bring the cowbell, people just shepherd right up into
because they know they're getting free drinks.
It's like the cultish thing I've ever seen in my life, and I love it.
Yeah,
it's so fucking funny. We were just, and after the third one, I'm like, I gotta be a part of this. I'm bought in, just like a cult. You go listen one time, you're in. I'm hooked. I met a great 2 guys named Robert and Troy. I'm sure they told me a little bit more about the story, but that by the time I've been having a good time for a couple hours.
Sure, you've had a few.
I know that we have established a solid friendship with Robert and Troy, and they were nice enough to do. They were not nice enough. They were pumped enough to do a nice little shout out for Iowa Chill and our speaker that my brother and I bought for the.
Yes. You may have seen that on the Iowa Chill Instagram.
And there's gonna be a lot more coming this year. They loved it. The people loved it. I loved it. It's such a good time. And like I said, they're just handing out free shots. So, like I said, you gotta experience it in person to see those Robert and Troy shepherd their people into some nice Hawkeye shots and just get the people going, get ready for the game. So,
I saw you guys found those friends, and I was really pumped that you were making some content over the weekend. And moving to a different spot after so many years of doing the same thing is tough. It's kind of like when you move from a town that you've developed friendships and a community with, you got to almost find that new tailgate community. And I'm glad you found that. And I hope that relationship blossoms into something beautiful, even maybe after you return to Myrtle.
We found it. We have it. I can't wait for you to meet these guys. Hopefully for the Washington game. They're a lot of joy.
We've got 10-12 scheduled. We've got it scheduled. We got to go. I'm so jealous. So first week, like I said, we had some things going on. We're driving to Utah this Saturday. So I'm going to be jealous again because it's going to be even tough to watch the game on the drive there. I will have YouTube TV up and make sure that I get all the big moments. Dude, it's just a busy September. So by the time October 12 rolls around, we'll be ready to tailgate.
Yeah, perfect. So Iowa opens up with a 40-0 W against Illinois State. And immediately, like I said earlier, Iowa look great in the second half. They look good overall. A bit of an overreaction. Iowa put up 41 points as the worst offense in the country last year against Western Michigan. So one game doesn't tell me anything. The one thing that did tell a difference in is Cade's health. Watching Cade run last year's game,
he was moving around.
Me all sorts of problems in my body. Watching him trying to limp up and down that field. So seeing him being a little elusive, escape some blitz sacks, dive it out for a touchdown play on one of them.
A freaking fadeaway touchdown pass. You weren't going to see that last year with a bum knee.
Jacob Gill. Yeah, we haven't seen an Iowa quarterback doing that in C.J. Beathard, maybe?
Yeah, it's at least since number 16.
So that was good. That was reassuring to see. And it's reassuring to see this group of Iowa healthy. You got Luke Lachey back. He did
Yes.
his role. You got a new Iowa receiver Vanderzee, who had 2 receiving touchdowns.
Rock Valley product, baby.
Yep. And a freshman to go in Iowa, get 5 catches for 60-some yards and 2 touchdowns. And one, he kind of mossed a guy a little bit.
A little bit.
That's something sexy
Dude,
I've seen coming out of Iowa City, especially for a receiver.
I was checking out the Daily Iowan, and they were breaking down the roster, and I noticed 4 or 5 names from Rock Valley, which I would assume was probably a state championship team last year. That roster is full of kids from Northwest Iowa.
So those Dutch genes, they're all massive and huge and tall and athletic.
All those Van and Vanders.
But yeah, then had Jacob Gill catch the other fadeaway touchdown from Cade McNamara. Caleb Johnson came out and just ran for that, broke for that 55. He was suspended the first half, came out, really picked up the slack of offense from the first half, which I just believe were jitters. Cade McNamara hasn't played a healthy game in over 2 years. Had to come in, shake a little rust. I was calling for his name. I saw too many similarities in the first half to what I've seen for the last 2 years. I'm impatient. Don't blame me. I've been seeing this shit for too long, but I'm glad I was wrong. Patience.
Yeah. Dude, it's been longer because, I mean, how long did we have to suffer with Petrus, too? I was really nervous, and we started, just like everybody else in the nation, Barstool was picking it up, Fox. It's like punt, field goal, punt, turnover on look at the Iowa defense making big plays as usual. And then in the second half, we got to see a little bit of, hopefully, a preview for the rest of the year. I mean, I'm not expecting Cade to be Tom Brady, but I like that he was mobile. You brought that up, and I think that that's like the best sign, because if you have a quarterback that's just going to stand back there and get pummeled, you're in for a long season. I love seeing the young receivers play well. I don't think we've seen that in at least 4 years.
No. And like I said, it's week 1. We understand it, but you could see glimpses that we are definitely a little bit more competent than we were in the last couple of years. It's going to be a much different story. We're going against a more experienced, I would say, defense here in the next week. So we'll move on to that. Rice, it's CyHawk week, and this is the most stressful week of my entire life. I hate it every year.
You're nervous.
I hate it.
I know you got the jitters.
I hate it because I want closure now. I want to know who wins right now because I can't take it. If we were playing Wisconsin, Michigan, Penn State, or anyone, I would be excited to watch the game. But for some reason, this game kills me all week. It's because we're living and breathing the same air as the opposing team. We're in the same fishbowl.
Yeah.
And you're seeing the same Twitter, X tweets and all that shit. So you're living in it constantly. All the shit talk.
And you got to see him at work the next day. You got to see him at school the next day.
So you can't.
The bragging rights belong to you for another year.
Problem. You can't just move on from it. So this is why this game gives me much anxiety. But it's a massive game. It's a huge rivalry. From my understanding and all the videos and podcasts I've listened to, the country enjoys this game. People from outside of the state of Iowa. Yeah. It was back-to-back college game days. From 1 year, took a year off to the next year back in Ames. This game is important. The country keeps their eyes on this game. They're saying it's a top 5 rivalry in college football.
Which is so cool. I mean, in a state of 3 million, we've got a top in-state rivalry that, rivals some of the biggest in the nation. That's pretty cool.
It almost makes you think, what if there's only just one university here? The amount of...
I know that your brother brings that up a lot.
Could you imagine?
And it's a good point by the Colbster. I think that we probably have a powerhouse.
Iowa and Iowa State are both dominant in their own basketball for Iowa State. Women's basketball right now for Iowa women. Iowa State's women's basketball is going to be loaded this year. Football combined, are you kidding me? So,
can you think of every
oh my God.
state of Iowa product? I know. That's why I think, what would help this rivalry the most is if we could all cheer for somebody on Sunday. It's like, okay, we settled our beef on Saturday. We know for the next year who owns the state, but we can all come together for the Des Moines blanks in the NFL. That's what this state needs.
It needs it, but at the same time, I've always wondered, my God, do we give so much energy to our college teams that we might be depleted? Because how do you split it? Because you think of Minnesota, that's a Minnesota Vikings state. It's not a Timberwolves right now, Well, Timberwolves, watch out for them. They'll be good. The Gophers, no. They have, so you kind of think there. But before we get into the game here, I want to talk about some of your favorite CyHawk memories. Whether you went to the game, you watched it on TV, your favorite game in general. You have any good ones that come up to mind?
As far as the games go, I mean, honestly, a lot of them are blurs. I remember, who was it? Steel Jance from years back. I remember the muff punt so well. Um, I most importantly remember going up to Iowa City as a freshman, and just in true freshman fashion, you pull up in a van full of like 17 guys. You plan on crashing for 2 days on somebody's couch or futon, and the morning of game day, one of our friends decided it was a good idea to make chicken Alfredo before we go and tailgate for 4.5, 5 hours. And so we all throw down a plate of chicken Alfredo and hit up the
What
gosh,
what
what
time are you
tailgate
thinking
was
you
it?
had this chicken Alfredo?
Oh, it's probably breakfast chicken Alfredo, which is it's what you do in college, right? Um, I want to say we went to Fiji. That could be completely wrong, but it was a Keystone Light party, and we show up, pay our dues, start shotgunning Keystones, and pretty soon, like 3 or 4 guys are in the woods out behind their frat house, just throwing up chicken Alfredo.
I'm more surprised it didn't come out their back end. You got Keystone
Yeah,
and morning
right.
chicken Alfredo mixed together. That's a recipe for the back entrance, baby.
Yeah, that was Sunday morning for sure.
my
What ranks in your top one, two,
I
or
got
three?
my top one is when we had the Iowa Chill tailgate in 2019. College game day was there. It was Brock Purdy's big year. Yeah, I think so. Brock Purdy's year. And I don't even know what they were ranked, but or was it 2019? Was that
Yeah,
the
because he didn't play at Kinnick in 2020 because he never technically won at Kinnick.
He never beat Iowa ever. Yeah, okay. So 2019, we had the Iowa Chill tailgate. That's exactly when it was because it was a year before COVID. It was a semester before COVID.
Yes,
And we had the big
yes.
Iowa at the what was the woods called at the Iowa State? What were they called?
The Haunted
The Haunted
Forest.
Forest. We had the Haunted Forest
Hmm.
back there. It was just messy, muddy. People were getting smashed, and it was such a great time. And I might have had a little too great time going before I went through the game. I had a solo ticket. I was going to myself that day. I was ready to go to war against Jack Trice Stadium. And I get into the game. Once I got into the stadium, I don't remember a damn thing. And also I'm in the back end zone where they have like that booster section, that big glass building. I'm somehow in the booster section. And that's when
Yes.
I come to I'm like, whoa, what the hell? How the hell did I get in here? And some fans are like, I'm getting this buffet of food and everything. I don't have a ticket. I'm like, this is awesome. I'll say someone must have pointed me out and said, this kid is not supposed to be in here. I got kicked out of the booster section. And I remind you, at this point, it's a packed house. I have no ticket. I have no idea where I'm sitting. I'm by myself. So it's me trying to find a spot for the rest of the game. I bet you I sat in 15 different spots throughout the entirety of the game trying to find a seat selection. I just got kicked out of everything. And then we had that 2 to 3 hour storm delay. I stuck it all out.
Yes, I forgot about
stuck it
that.
all out there by myself forever. I was on Jack Trice for, I don't even know, 7 hours, 7, 8 hours. And then I finally ended up in the very top section, top left section, where the muff punt happened right in front of us. And
Yep.
from there on out, it was awesome. I had a great time.
Low scoring game. The storms, everything. I mean, at the time, I think we still had a relatively decent offense, but what was it, like 15 to 14 or something like that? Something
I
really
can't remember,
low.
but I did know that Iowa State looked a lot better the first half. I think the storm might have drawn them out into the second half, and Iowa just kind of got lucky on that one. That should have been Iowa State's game. I don't think they're stopping Brock Purdy from driving 30-some yards and getting a field goal to win that game.
Yeah, that was a great memory. One of the all time tailgates too. At least from the Iowa Chill front. That was so much fun. I remember camping out like at 3 a.m. We stayed at somebody's house,
Condolians.
maybe Michael
Yeah.
Condolian's house. Yeah.
You guys, because
Yeah.
I had you guys convinced. I'm
Um,
like, dude, it's gonna be so packed here. You guys gotta come tonight. See, I left that night. I don't. You guys might.
Dude, we were the first ones in there.
And you guys got.
They threw us in the
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, and we got the Condolians at like 1 a.m. You guys had a couple hours of sleep. We got up and drove to the Haunted Forest. And yeah, we were the first ones there. This sent us right to the back.
Yep, long day, great memory. I mean, that's all what being low 20s is all about.
But that just goes to show you CyHawk Week, dude. It doesn't matter what team's ranked what. It's always you can throw all the stats out from first week, all the stats up from the previous years out the window. It's gonna be a close competitive game, and that's why this week stresses me the living hell out. I I think Iowa. I know Iowa's a better team here. I think Iowa should go in and win by 8 points this game. I think Iowa should run the ball right down their throat, control the tempo for the first half. It's probably going to be a close game in the first half. I think Iowa slowly outmans them in the second half with the power and physical size, and their defense is putting a stop. And that'll put Iowa State in a bad position where they're forced to finally kind of throw the ball a little deeper towards Iowa secondary, and that's the last thing you want to put your.
Yep, then they're done.
What exactly Iowa wants you to do. But I don't know. What's your thoughts on this game? Are you feeling indifferent?
You're reading right from my bet slip, and we'll get into the bets of the week. But I don't think that's ever going to be a blowout. I don't think we've had a blowout since 40-3 Bethard years. I expect it to be close. I don't think even you said first half. I don't think it's going to be like a 20-point victory, but I do think it's at least a score. Like we've already mentioned, Iowa's going to run the football. They don't have anything to prove this week. They're coming off a 40-point win. I think that we run the ball, we wear them down, get some deep shots in, and unfortunately, I just don't think Iowa State quite has the firepower. Frankly, I just also really believe in the defense. Like just seeing Castro make early and often plays, hoping to see like a big breakout game from Xavier.
Dude, Iowa's defensive line looks incredible right now. There's no. If Iowa State is struggling to run for 50 yards against North Dakota, what are they expecting against Iowa? And Iowa State knows that going in. The air raid is going to have to be their option. But can they be patient enough to do that 7, 8 yard, 5, 6 yard chip passes, 7, 8 different times down the field? And you look at Rocco Beck, the very first pass last game, he throws for 57 yards. You can't do that against Iowa. They're going to make you pay on that.
Nope, that's not going to happen. I think that if I've seen anything over the years is like that is a way to like wear us down. If you have a mobile quarterback going against the Iowa defense, that's a huge advantage. And also just being a patient team that's willing to nickel and dime all game long, because I don't see us giving up a ton of huge plays.
No, and I'm on the same page here. But at the same time, like I said, what we're thinking really doesn't freaking matter. It's going to be
and nothing matters like before, you might have Iowa State could very well. I know we picked them to go 8-4, 9-3. They very well could be an elite team, but throw all of that out the window because when it comes down to the game, like this brings out a different beast from both teams.
And Iowa State's, you could probably expect a heavy blitz package trying to put some pressure on K. McNamara because they know Iowa's going to come in and establish a run, and especially if Iowa State's injured linebacking core. You can't expect everything from your D line to hold the Iowa offensive line and the pushing power. So they're going to bring some pressure. Can Cade McNamara look a little slippery and a little elusive, just like I'm asking half of what he did in the second half from last week, and I think Iowa wins this game by 7 points.
I love it. How much more do we have to go through? I'm getting antsy to get these bets out.
I agree. So might as well give me your prediction on right there. So I got Iowa covering. I think the spread's at 3 right now. I got Iowa winning that, no problem.
I have Iowa -7.
So we're right there.
I'm alt spreading. Yeah.
I think it's gonna be a close first half, like I said, and I think Iowa just pulls away in the second half. Who's gonna make the first big play? The best unit going out in the field that day is the Iowa defense. Aaron Gray's monster 3 sacks the previous game. Sebastian Crashon having a rip out fumble to a fumble recovery. No big plays were given up, maybe besides a 20-yard bomb pass on the sideline. As I say, bomb pass, 20 yards is a bomb pass compared to the Iowa defense that the receiver may have made a play. That was the biggest thing that's happened. Iowa's defense looked incredibly stout. I think they'll be better than I even imagined, to be honest. They returned so much talent. It's going to cause Iowa State a lot of problems. How patient can Rocco Brecht be in this game? that will really show us how long this game's going to be close. But I think Iowa does pull out, like we said, finishing by 7 points at the end of the week. Bryce, I'm excited. I need to get through this game. I'm stressed on it right now. Let's move on to our lock bets of the week.
Okay. I said my first one. I think you wrapped up that segment very nicely. I'm a UNI graduate. I grew up watching Iowa because they were the better team, and I'll always be an Iowa Hawkeye. Outside of this week, I'll cheer for the Clones, but I'm hoping for that 7-point victory. And that's my first lock of the week. Iowa -7.
My first lock of the week will be, I'll just follow you right there. I got Iowa covering 3. No problem. And I'll stake it back.
I like this.
Go
ahead. I like it because we may look back at the rest of the season and look back at this game and be like, well, that was dumb because Iowa wasn't who we thought they were, and Iowa State's a lot better than we thought they were.
It very well could be that way.
I feel comfortable about it, and that's one where I'm willing to be a little bit more aggressive than what Vegas is giving it. Vegas respects the rivalry. That's why they're giving this a very close spread.
The spread's the exact same thing it was last year. Iowa -3, and it was at Jack Trice. So it's always right between that 2 to 3 line. And now it's at Kinnick. Just home field advantage didn't switch any better. And I think Iowa got better than Iowa State as of now, just because of our defensive talent that being the best unit on the field has a huge advantage. But like I said, could Iowa State possibly go out there and get an upset? Absolutely, it could happen. But am I going to tip towards Iowa? I am. Bryce, I'm going to follow that bet with Akron covering 23.5 at the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. What do I know about what?
You got some money on the Zips?
What do I know about this game? Absolutely nothing. I don't know a damn thing about the Akron Zips besides that they led Ohio State 3-0 last week. I feel good about that. Give me the Zips.
I love that. I like the Zips. I like that Rutgers has been traditionally horrible in the Big Ten. They haven't been good since, God, who was that running back? Years ago. So I think that's a safe bet. I'm right along those lines as well. I didn't like what I saw from Michigan whatsoever. Michigan scares me a little bit, and in kind of a good way if you're a Hawkeye fan. I did see a lot of good things from Texas, and so for that reason, I'm going Texas -7.5 on Michigan.
Is that what the spread's at right now?
I don't think that's an alt spread. I think that's what the actual line is.
Okay, because Bryce, my next bet, I have Michigan covering 5.5 versus the Texans. Texan Longhorns. I think people are slipping off Michigan a little bit just because of all the acquisitions, the documentary coming out, Jim Harbaugh leaving. I think people are forgetting that Michigan's got talent over there. And
yeah, I mean, that's the national champs that I'm disrespecting right now. So, you might be right. Maybe I'm falling for the trap.
I didn't see who did Michigan play last week? Fresno State. That was super close. I think Michigan pulled away by 20. Texas is coming into the big house. I can see Texas getting a late score to go 2 or 3 with about a minute left. Texas winning the football game. But don't count the blue. I think Michigan's more talented. We can't forget how much talent they got. You just went and whipped on Washington. They whipped on everyone they played last year. And I know they lost a lot of talent. They've gone through a lot of controversy. Harbaugh's gone. I'm still kind of a believer in Michigan.
I think that's fair. I'm secretly probably a little bit biased too because I want Iowa to have that nod at the end of the year for that playoff spot. But yeah, I think what scares me a little bit like the Iowa State game where why is a team like Fresno running all over you? Like that's scary. And then you got a new SEC school in Texas who's going to be trying to prove something.
Right. And that's why I said, did you see my Twitter fight earlier this week?
No, I haven't. Tell me about it.
Matt Van Winkle, who's the producer for Two Guys on IR for Chris Hassel and Chris Williams. And he's a Big 12 homer as if I'm a Big 10 homer defending your conference. And they were doing a little shitting on the Big 12, and Matt comes in. So he's like, well, the Big 10 didn't do that well either. The fuck you? The Big 10 went 17 for 18 in the first week. That's a 95 win percentage.
I believe the only team that lost was Minnesota,
on a
right?
last second field goal that they should have hit. Big 10 was
they should have hit
a couple yards away from being 18 for 18 in your season, your first week as a brand new consolidated conference. What the hell do you mean? And then some guy tweets me 3 separate tweets saying all these stats, like Big Ten was favored by this many points. Like I said, you can take your analytical book up the first week and shove it up your. Okay. throw it out the
what.
window. I don't care about your stats. Get the W. Learn from your mistakes. Watch the tape. Survive the first week. Teams get dramatically better from the first week to the second week because look at the competition you're playing too. By the way, okay, you've been practicing against your boys, yourselves, your friends for the last 8 months, 7 months, and now you come into real competition. So it throws it out the window. Now they know what to kind of expect for the game field for the year. So throw that out the window. But yeah, I got in a quick Twitter fight about that.
Yeah, I love that. I'm glad that you're fighting for the conference too.
This is the thing for Iowa and Iowa State week. So much shit talk happens and no one ever wins. It could keep going on.
No, but I appreciate it because ESPN does enough writing to the SEC. So somebody has to step up for the Big Ten, and might as well be you.
17 for 18. I mean, that's unreal.
That's great.
Unreal.
You win the games that you're supposed to win, right?
USC taking down LSU too. Welcome to the conference, USC. Bryce,
what's your bet number 2?
I thought I gave you. Yeah, I gave you 3. I gave you Akron cover 23.5, Iowa covering 3, Michigan covering 5.5 is the last time I saw it.
Oh, okay. We just spilled the beans earlier on yours. Okay, I'll give you my last one, and that's the Big 12 Baylor covering on Utah.
You got what's the cover?
They have a -14, I think. I think they have Utah -14. Maybe that could be an alt spread too. I tried to give a notation if I was doing an alt spread, but I think Baylor's not supposed to be great. But again, it's those early rankings that you throw a team like Utah in the top 14, and all of a sudden they think that they're a little high and mighty. I could just see that being a conference game that gets a little closer than expected.
State's top 10 loses 2 opening games. One's the Boston College. When's the last time Boston College has won a significant game like that? Baylor has always had talent. The one thing about Utah is I shouted out the last podcast their quarterback Cam Rising, who I think is a top 5 quarterback.
Yeah, he's great.
5 for 10 passes, or he had 10 completions, and 5 of those were touchdowns.
Yeah, he's elite, and that's going to be a major problem for the Bears.
But the Bears, there's always some talent there in Waco, Texas, for some reason. RG3.
We should probably preface this segment with this is not betting advice because I believe I went 1 for 3 last week, and the only win was Iowa.
Really? I thought you did better than that. I went 2 for 3. I had North Dakota State covering. Who's my other one? I wanted them.
That's true.
I wanted Minnesota money line was a field goal away from hitting that, and I know I had one other one. I don't know.
I switched out North Dakota and South Dakota State because that North Dakota State was coming out as we were talking. So I swapped them, and then North Dakota State got blown out. Or South Dakota
other
State
one was Georgia covering 13, and then they had beaten Clemson by 27. All right, Bryce, it's time for the best segment, our favorite segment to wrap up this podcast. Last week we ranked our 7 favorite Iowa towns. This week we're going to rank our 7 favorite Iowa odd name towns.
Love it. Electric segment last week. I can't wait to hear what you got.
I'll go ahead and rip us off for number 7. I got Jamaica, Iowa, located in central Iowa. Jamaica. I
love Jamaica.
Have you ever heard of it in the recent years, or is this news to you? So you know of it.
Yeah, no, I've heard of it. And there's a theme that Iowa does where we take names from popular places and we just decide that that's a town name now. Nate, I think we're going to have some crossovers here. I think we're going to have a few that are very similar. You may see Jamaica on my list later on.
As expected.
Number 7, I've got Nevada. And as I just mentioned, we like to take a name and just maybe tweak it a little bit. Like we've got a state, Nevada. Let's just call it Nevada, and now it's our original town.
And now we claim it as ours. Nevada, Iowa, 20 minutes east of Ames, Iowa, I believe. I make a few deliveries here and there, and I always have to catch myself from saying Nevada. I do know it's Nevada. Shout out to Nevada for being Nevada. Bryce, go ahead. You can follow me back for your 6.
All right, we're doing the snake. Number 6 gets a little raunchy with Balltown.
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 Is it just what is
Balltown,
like BALL space, or is it BALLTOWN?
I believe it's a space.
Even crazier.
Yeah. So I don't know if they know ball or what's going on there. I did absolutely no research. I have no written down notes on any of these towns. I just appreciate the name Balltown.
Yeah, that's I didn't even see that coming across it. Balltown.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you guys. Number 6 for me is very similar to Balltown, maybe a little opposite of it. Fertile. Fertile, Iowa, located in north central Iowa near Mason City. Let's get Fertile, baby.
And even better, it's right next to Manly. So, kind of an interesting pairing
Manly
of towns
got
there.
a little Fertile out of town.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. At number 5, I've got What Cheer, and I mentioned them last week, but they deserve a second mention because that's just a hell of a name off the I-80.
Shout out to What Cheer. Very familiar with that town. Bryce, my number 5, I got you know what? Thinking about this, it should have been ranked a little bit better. I got Sac City. The great Sac City located in west central Iowa.
I left them off my list, but it's one of my all-time favorites. What a name for a city. Not even a city, it's a town. It's a town of what, like 3,000 probably?
I'm trying to think of the high school there. East Sac? East Sac, maybe? Maybe it's a West Sac. I don't know, dude.
I think I had some problems with my East Sac.
I know there was
this
a
week.
really good basketball player named Reed Tellinghusum. I think that came from Sac City.
Okay.
It's like near Wall Lake, View Auburn. East Sac. I think the high school is loaded on this.
That sounds right.
East Sac, yeah. East Sac City. That's it, baby.
Sac City. At number 4, I've got one I mentioned. Right next to Fertile, we've got Manly.
You like the Manly, huh?
Which is great. Like, yeah, love that town.
It's right next to...
It's like just... Right next to
City.
what?
I always see the exit sign.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I just think that's a boring but gets the job done.
The more you
think
think about it, the more cool it is. That is Manly. That's very, very manly of it to be named Manly. Bryce said my number 4 might be one of my favorites. Sexton, Iowa, located 15 miles east from Algona, Iowa. I know a lot about Sexton, baby. My aunt has lived there for 20-some years. I don't know if she lives there anymore, but shout out to Aunt Roxy. Lived there in Sexton, Iowa. Maybe one of 8 houses in Sexton, Iowa. They got one bar that's called, Racers. It's right off Highway 18, and that's where all, we were talking about last podcast, the Great A-Bait Biker Rally. That's where they rally. Yep. They go to Sexton, Iowa. They get a little horny for the week, and they drink at Racers. So shout out to Sexton, Iowa. Love you guys.
Let's talk about Sexton, baby. I got at number 3, Lost Nation. I don't know why I'm choosing these names that have 2 names as a town name, but I just think that that's a very unique thing to do. And kind of like, almost sounds like a band.
Lost Nation, located near Maquoketa, Iowa. I know about Lost Nation. I know that my number 3 is Cool, Iowa. So it's not necessarily a town, but it's a neighborhood located in south central Iowa. I think it's just southeast of Des Moines. But it's good enough for me. I would claim
Love it. That's cool, man.
Is cool.
Number 2, I have Jamaica, and we know why. It's tropical. The people are chill. Rasta men.
Have you been to Jamaica?
No,
See,
Jamaica. I'd love to
go.
I've
never been to any of those towns besides Sexton, just because I have to drive through it. And I feel like
Nevada.
We're gonna.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me give you my number 2.
Okay.
Was that your number 2?
That was my number
2 is What Cheer, Iowa, located in east central Iowa. You know what's good. We shared that. I feel like our number 1's going to be the same.
No, it's not.
No.
I went away from one that I...
How is my number 1 not on your list then? But go ahead.
Yeah, it was a dealer's choice. I took it off the list. If I'm thinking correctly of what your number 1 is. My number 1 is Fertile.
Okay.
You had already listed it, and you took my number 1, but hell of a name, right next to Manly. Great town. All right, what do you got for your number 1?
To close off my top 7 odd name towns in Iowa, I got Cumming, Iowa.
Yeah. We knew it had to be
one
listed.
of the all-time greats. There was only one place for Cumming to finish on this list, and that's to finish first. And that's what Cumming did.
Yep. That's a very manly thing to do. Just south of Des Moines. Great for T-shirts. Great for a good laugh now and again. One of the Iowa Chill favorites for content.
I would love to go visit Cummings someday. Know a lot about the town. Never been to it. But shout out to these towns for having the balls to name your town these names.
Yeah,
and respect
crazy.
to that. And you go support you guys, Bryce. I got to get through this week.
Yeah, I'm praying for your liver. I'm praying for your mental health. I know that this takes a toll on you. CyHawk Week is not for the weak, and I don't know. Let's just see what happens. I'm more in the boat where I'm excited to see how the game turns out. I like the general atmosphere of the tailgating and the camaraderie of just two juggernauts or respective conferences.
I think it's going to be an all-time tailgate. The weather's a high of 69, 70 degrees for the day. You're going to have perfect fall weather tailgating the first week of September. I mean, this summer / early fall continues to be some of the best weather I've ever experienced in my entire life.
It's amazing. It's amazing. You're going to have a blast. We'll be watching from the iPhone on YouTube TV, and I'm expecting some thrills. I think this will be, if you had to guess what the over of the game would be, what would you think?
So my prediction is probably Iowa 20, the Iowa State 13. So the over-under is probably around 34-ish. So in my case, that game would be hitting the under.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit more offense than some years. I don't think that we're going to be in mid-season form yet, but I expect some fireworks, whether that be a Castro strip interception, maybe a deep ball from Cade. Just pump for the game, man.
Yeah, and I'm pumped for the tailgate. It's going to be some of the best times. I love tailgating with Iowa State fans. They share the same bond when it comes to tailgating, putting your blood, sweat, and tears and alcohol on the pavement, and nothing really matters up until about an hour before the game. The shit gets weird real quick. But looking up, we're going to get to the tailgate around 8:30. That's when lots open up. I can't wait to see our boys Robert and Troy, have a shot with them. Let's go. Let's have ourselves, I guess it's already Thursday. We got one more day in between after this into the big game.
Let's keep it going. I'm pumped that the pod is back. I'm pumped for CyHawk Week. Good luck this weekend.
All right, before we let you go, NFL starting tonight. Give me your quick thoughts on Mahomes versus Lamar Jackson.
I actually didn't take a overall winner for this game. I'm not sure. If I had to maybe guess, it would be probably Baltimore. I'm not sure what to expect from the defending champs, the back-to-back champs. I think I'm leaning Baltimore. What do you think?
My boss is a huge Kansas City Chiefs fan. He strategically planned his flight from Nashville today that landed in Kansas City first thing this morning, and he has not done more than 1 minute of work in Kansas City this afternoon. He's been tailgating since, I think, 10 or 11 a.m., and I know he's vibing right now. Shout out to Caleb, best boss in the state, best boss in the country. But that being said, for the last 2 years, he's absolutely torched me. I think Kansas City's had the 2 opening games the last 2 years, and he's told me to hammer Chiefs every time. And the first time was against the Chargers, they didn't cover. Last year, I think it was against the Buffalo Bills, and the Bills walked in and beat the Chiefs. I'm 0 for 2. But not this game. Not
what do you got
tonight. The Chiefs, money line over the Baltimore Ravens. If you give me a midseason Patrick Mahomes or even half of what he was towards the end of last year, the Chiefs take care of business.
I love that, and it's hard to bet against the defending
champs. I'll never bet against Pat Mahomes.
Just pump the NFL's back.
Let's go. I'm going to go log off right now and go get a couple beers ready and watch the game. At least let me forget about the CyHawk game for another night until we move into tomorrow, and then boom, game day.
Yep, try to get some rest, have some fun this weekend.
Yeah.
Sounds like we're talking again on Monday. We're going to try and get this thing out on Tuesdays.
And you're going to Utah when again? You're leaving what day?
We're leaving Saturday morning, and we'll be back.
Bryce is going to be live from Utah. How sexy is that for your scenery? I hope we get a little.
Yeah, if you're available, let's do a little morning recording after the game. We can just talk everything CyHawk.
Yeah, we'll figure out a time, but I'll be available Monday morning, baby.
Sounds good, brother.
Guess west of the Mississippi, kicking back, yeah, evidently. Everybody grab your people, come on, gather with me.